Hi, my name is Nina Cole. I'm a service user rep based at Accrington for Hyndburn, Rosendale, Inspire. I'm also a National Lived Experience group member. Do you want to introduce yourselves? John?
Thanks, Nina. My name's John Robinson. I'm District Manager for East Lancs Inspire, District Manager for Hyndburn and Rosendale, based in Accrington, and Detox Lead Service.
Thanks. Kelly?
Hi, I'm Kelly Tanzer. I'm the opiate detox practitioner across East Lancashire, mainly based in Accrington.
Thank you. And Will?
Hi, I'm Will Daw, and I'm a peer mentor at Inspire Burnley.
Thank you. So today we're interviewing Kelly and John regarding detox and rehab, and we're going to ask them some questions that we've had from service users and to try and make detox and rehab more accessible for people. So my first question is about detox. What is a detox? Don't know which wants to answer it.
Yeah, a detox basically is where the substance, the drug that the person is dependent on is withdrawn. So that it's a process where a person becomes drug-free in a safe, managed way that reduces withdrawals, often used with other medications, but not always. It's a process really where someone becomes drug-free, from dependent to drug-free. That's a simple sort of explanation of a detox.
Brilliant, nice and clear. Thanks, John. What's the difference between an inpatient detox and a community detox?
A few differences. I think ultimately the biggest difference is time. Okay, so an inpatient detox normally happens in a shorter time frame compared to a community detox. Okay, especially if you're coming off opiate detox, for example. An opiate detox in the community, coming off methadone or Esprinol or something like that, can take up to 12 weeks. An opiate detox in an inpatient setting normally takes about, depends on the dose, usually between 14 to 28 days. So it's a more sort of rapid program. But in an inpatient setting, you do have 24-hour medical support. So that's ultimately the sort of main difference.
So at the minute, how long is it taking to get into a detox?
That's a $1 million question, isn't it? There's a lot of factors. I'll explain an inpatient detox process. Okay, so ideally, what's recommended is that a community detox option should be explored first, and ultimately inpatient detoxes are suitable for people who have possibly tried community options and they've been unsuccessful for whatever reason. Or it may be that risk plays a factor, and it may be that someone has other needs, such as physical health needs or mental health needs, that need to be managed by clinical staff during a detox. Or it might be that someone's simply living in someone's social circumstances are not sort of conducive to a detox. We understand that people can be motivated to change, but their social circumstances where they're living, the social networks might prevent them from being in the right place to do a detox at that time. And for you to go into an inpatient detox, you have to be initially assessed and proven as dependent. Okay, you have to sort of be stable. Okay, detox is not for chaotic drug users, if you will. There's processes to stabilize people, and ultimately what would happen is, from you requesting a detox, okay, a plan would be put in place. Will be reviewed by one of our medics, and the worker will then submit an application to a panel, and the panel will then make a recommendation. So from someone not asking for a detox to get into that panel, it could be a couple of weeks, a little bit more. And from that panel decision, if an application is approved, then that's normally dependent on which detox unit the person chooses, because obviously there's limited beds and you might have to wait for a bed. And it also depends on the person being prepared for going. So you might have a few more appointments with your worker than you normally do before you come in. So I think at the moment we're probably looking at 3 to 4 weeks from panel. So if someone's stable and engaged and attending all the appointments, then realistically it could be 4, 6, 7 weeks, something like that.
Thanks, John. So you mentioned there that you might have to attend more sort of sessions with your worker and stuff between panel and it being approved. What would those sessions necessarily look like?
Sorry, not if it's been approved by a panel, there might be some recommendations. So
okay,
you'll be given a choice of where you want to go for the detox. So the worker will support you with that. Okay, the worker will finalise what the plans are of the detox, because aftercare is important. And it's always important to have a plan B as well in case things don't work out. Contingency plans, we call them. So it's important that before you go in detox that you know what plan Bs are, you know what to do should it not work out, you know where you're going after detox. And basically the preparation is making sure that you know what you're getting into before you go in. Because some people have expectations of detox that aren't often true, really. Some people think it's there's nice gyms and swimming pools and a nice sort of relaxing hotel, and that's not the case, I'm afraid.
Certainly not in my experience, no. Definitely not. So would either of you like to tell us what a day in detox might look like?
In an inpatient setting, yes.
Yeah.
Very structured day, very sort of, there'll be certain time to get up, there'll be certain times throughout the day where medications are administered, there'll be certain times during the day where you will attend lower level groups. It's more like information sessions, really, and keep people focused, and routine's important. There'll be regular times through the day when you're given a balanced diet and plenty of hydration. There'll be rest times during the day, and times to sort of socialise with other people who are going through a detox. And there'll be a certain time when you expect to go to bed. So routine is important, and sort of lower level interventions while people are coming off the medication. Weekends might be a little bit different. Weekends might be a little bit more relaxing and TV time and stuff like that. You're smiling there. I think you know.
I am, yeah. The detox hours in the weekends are slightly different, yeah. But that pretty much covers it, yeah.
I think different detoxes have different rules around visiting times and stuff like that. Some places might have visitors. Pre-COVID, I'm talking about, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Some people might allow visits every evening. Some units might have visitors every weekend. Most units allow you to have your mobile phone. Some units might only let you have access to your phone, maybe in the evening, stuff like that. So yeah, quite a structured approach, really, in the patient setting.
Brilliant, thank you. Hi. So, Kelly, could you add anything about your experience from a community point of view for a detox?
Yeah, so like John had said earlier on, preparing for a detox and that kind of stuff. So we look at in the process of them coming to me and looking at a reduction plan of a community opiate detox to the end of the detox, there will be weekly contact made. And in that time, we will look at lots of different approaches to detox. So we'd look at relapse prevention, we'd look at recovery capital, so all the kind of the structured stuff that potentially would do in an inpatient detox setting, I'd be doing with an individual in the community on a weekly basis. So it's a lot more relaxed in the community. So you don't have that 24-hour medically monitored kind of stuff. So you've got the support from myself, pharmacies, GP. It could be case coordinators still involved in your reduction plan. It might be a case of, we've got your GP on board if needed. So that's your kind of wraparound support. We get family involved as well, family and friends. That's really important when you're looking at recovery capital, and we build on that. So they're very, very similar with regards to the input for a detox, except obviously in an inpatient detox, the time frame is less. You're looking at going into an inpatient detox, especially for the opiates, between 2 to 4 weeks, whereas community we usually stretch it can be over a 12-week period depending on the dosage side of things. So yeah.
Thank you, that's lovely. So I'll hand you over now to Will for another set of questions.
Thanks, Nina. So I'm going to ask a few questions on rehab, if I may. The first of which is, what is a rehab?
What is a rehab? A rehab is basically intense treatment for people who have achieved abstinence, and it's a program really where people learn and develop the skills needed to remain free from any further problems with substances. And that normally takes place there's a lot of psychoeducation sessions, there's group therapy sessions, one-to-one counselling. People might have sort of unresolved traumas from their past that they need some intense sort of support with. So yeah, it's basically an opportunity to access some intense therapy to learn the coping skills needed to remain drug-free or free from substance misuse problems. Learning a lot of new life skills as well.
Brilliant, thank you for that. And the second question is, what is the biggest difference between rehab and detox?
Well, the biggest difference is you have to be drug-free to go into rehab, and you go into detox to become drug-free. So you go into detox to get clean, and a lot of people go on to rehab after detox. Another main difference is the time scales. Residential rehabs at the moment are normally funded for about 13 weeks, about 3 months, and can be extended for another 3 months up to like a 6-month period, depending on the needs of the individual.
Thank you. Well, I've learned something new there. Actually, I always thought that you did your detox in rehab, so I've gained some knowledge there.
Some units do both under one roof, if you will, but there's not as many of them left as there used to be. There tends to be more separate units now, specialised detox units and specialised rehabs. But it is possible, but not as popular as it used to be there.
How long does it take to get into rehab?
The same process applies, really. Inspire will refer someone who's interested in rehab to social services. Social services hold the budget for funding rehabs and stuff like that. So you'll be referred to them for an assessment because, again, the same principle applies. Community options will always be sort of explored first before residential options. And then it will be dependent on the choice that the person makes and when the beds become available. And if someone's wanting to go into detox and then onto rehab, then we sort of have to marry the two up. We wouldn't have someone going into an inpatient detox, come back home for a couple of weeks, and then going into rehab. That process has to be seamless. So because people don't stay in detox as long, there's a lot quicker turnaround in a detox because it's a shorter term intervention. Sometimes people might have to wait a little bit longer to go into rehab when a bed becomes available. And sometimes rehab doesn't work out for people, so people might not last as long as they plan to, so beds can become available all the time. But I think it's a sort of a similar time frame, I would imagine, at the moment, maybe. I think at the moment, off the top of my head, I think if you were interested in going into rehab now, it'll probably be after Christmas.
Yeah. I think it all depends as well on the kind of rehab that the individual wants to access, whether it's a 12-step program or whether it's the therapeutic program. So I think there's a difference there as well in time frames and availability depending on what program you feel is deemed for you. So that's something else to discuss with our clients, about are they 12-step followers? Do they want to do the 12 steps within rehab? Or if they're not 12-step followers, then look at the therapeutic side, the therapeutic options. And again, it all depends on bed availability as well, on the time frame.
Fantastic. Yeah, I didn't realise again that there was two different options that you could choose, the therapeutic and the 12-step. So that's great.
Important, Will, just to mention that when Inspire refer you to social services, you were then allocated a social worker who will do that assessment and help you choose what will be the right rehab for you. Yeah. And it's important that you go to visit rehabs to make an informed choice rather than just looking online or whatever. It's important to find out as much as you can, really, and then certainly the social workers encourage people to go and have a look around. Maybe not in COVID, but ideally, and some rehabs offer a bit of a day taster, so you can go and spend a day there and find out if that would be right for you.
Yeah, thank you. The next question is, what do I need to do to get into rehab?
Want me to come in on this one? So basically, rehab is based on a program, okay? And that program is, like John said earlier, could be looking at past traumas, past events, reason why he started taking a substance in the first place, whether that is drugs or alcohol. So somebody who's in the community potentially who's never accessed any group facilities at all and then go into rehab can be a massive shock, because rehab is based on groups and therapy daily, okay? So I think it's really, really important for an individual to be accessing some form of groups prior to going into rehab so they get the taster of what to expect, really, because it can be quite a shock going from no groups to groups every day, potentially for 3 months. So what's expected of an individual before going into rehab is to access the group programs that we facilitate within Inspire, or even out of Inspire. It doesn't have to be all our programs. It could be mutual aid programs like NA meetings, AA meetings, CA meetings, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we that we offer. We need to see that motivation from an individual, because funding is so tight as well. So we need to know that rehab is the correct place for that individual to be before we start giving out funding to somebody who's not doing any prep work, really. And then it gives them less chance of, when they get into rehab, of walking because it's too much for them. So we need to prepare them the best that we possibly can.
Brilliant. Yeah, that all makes sense. How long does rehab last?
I think I touched on this earlier, Will. I think at the moment, initially, it's funded for 13 weeks and then can be extended for another 13. I think going forward, because we're in like a recession and austerity and things like that, think in the future there'll be more personalised budgets rather than just giving everyone 13 weeks. Not everyone will need 13 weeks, so it could be more of a mixture of maybe 6 weeks in rehab and then step down and more community support, things like that. But as it stands, you're looking at a 13-week placement.
What does a day in rehab look like? So you said earlier on that there'd be group activities and stuff during the day. What would they be?
Yeah, it's a lot more intense than what a detox experience would be. Again, a really structured daily timetable, up at a certain time, meals at a certain time, bedtime at a certain time, and usually check-in groups, even now groups in the morning, check where everyone is, and you'll normally have at least 2 groups a day, a group between lunch, usually a group in the afternoon. But again, those groups will be a bit more intense than what you are in detox. There's an expectation to participate, whereas in a detox there's more information and knowledge gathering. In a rehab, you're sort of learning to live with other people, so there's a sort of responsibility to sort of look after the place in which you live. So there'll be like called therapeutic duties. So you'll be doing different things throughout the day for the upkeep of the house, of the garden, stuff like that. So
Brilliant.
Learning to be drug free.
Fantastic. Right, I'll hand you back over to Nina now. Thank you.
Thanks, Will. Yes, I distinctly remember doing the cooking for 20 people, cleaning the house, and because that was skills I didn't really have.
Cooking skills, cleaning skills.
Life skills. It's not just being drug free. It's learning to actually live as an adult, which is something I wasn't. I had no idea how to do.
Do your own laundry as well.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about cost. So I don't know whether John will be able to answer these or whether Kelly wants to come in as well. So do I or a service user have to pay for detox and rehab?
Okay, so if it's a community detox, absolutely no chance. Community detoxes are available to all Inspire units. You'll be assessed for suitability for the community detox, and the only things you may have to pay for is the prescription if you are working. Okay, inpatient detox it's basically like the NHS. It's free to everyone at the point of delivery. So yeah, inpatient detox is no costs at all. We have an annual budget for that, and obviously we have to sort of monitor that and make decisions on how that money's spent and ensure that budget can last throughout the year. Rehab is, you will have a financial assessment with the social worker, and that would depend on if you've got any savings or if you've got any income and things like that. So there may be a small contribution to pay if you've got savings, stuff like that. If you haven't or you're not in employment, then no. What normally happens if you're on benefits, when you go into rehab, your benefits will go towards the cost of the rehab, and you'll be given like a weekly allowance to spend when you're in rehab. But all that will be discussed before you go in.
I'm going to hand you back to Will for some more questions.
Thanks, Nina. The next question is, it's about choice. Can I choose where to detox rehab?
Absolutely, Will. Absolutely. Service user choice is that's probably one of the key sort of messages for detox and rehab, really. The right place for the right person at the right time, really. Some people may wish to do a community detox, but sometimes we may feel that that's not safe. So we may have to have discussions about maybe people will benefit more from an inpatient rather than a community detox. But we can compromise there. We can offer what we call a kickstart detox, where someone may start an alcohol detox in an inpatient, maybe going on a Thursday, come out on a Monday for the 4 nights in the detox unit, and then finish the rest of the detox at home for a few nights. And similarly, people may reduce to really low opiate doses in the community and maybe go in for a short period of time, maybe for a week or two, to finish their opiate detox. So we try to accommodate as much choice as we can, on that being an inpatient or a community. And we will certainly offer people different units where they can attend. Some detox units are very clinical and hospitally based. Normally they're more suitable for people who have physical health conditions that need to be managed during detox. And some detox units are a bit more like a residential country house type setting, and they're more suitable for people who don't have any sort of concurrent physical health or mental health problems, and there's a lot more focus on the group and the psychosocial side of detox rather than clinical. But we'll give options, and as I said earlier, most of the detox units are in the northwest. There's a couple in Lancashire, there's a couple just out of Lancashire, Greater Manchester, North Wales. Some units will provide door-to-door transport, some won't, and they all have different visiting times. And they're all different sizes. So some can take maybe 20, 25 people. Some are a bit smaller, maybe looking at 10 or 12. So there's a lot of variance for people to consider so they can make an informed choice. So,
thank you. Yeah, I did a community detox at home, and I found that worked absolutely perfect for me. It was great. What happens if I leave detox or rehab early?
Just before I hand over to Kelly, the plan should already be in place, really. I touched on the contingency plans earlier. There should always be a plan B in place should the detox or the rehab not work out. But I'll hand over to Kelly's probably experienced that a few times, haven't you?
I have, yeah, unfortunately. So generally what would happen if we've got an individual who goes into an inpatient detox and they leave for whatever reason, they've been problems with family, or it's just not for them, or it weren't what they expected, the contingency plan generally would be for me to continue the detox in the community with the support from the Inspire doctor, their own GP, any other professionals that potentially could be involved with that individual, like the mental health team. And we would also have some kind of plan to, like I said, to continue that detox in the community down to zero. If for whatever reason that can't happen, and they're just not in the right place at that time to continue that detox, then we would instantly look at stabilisation. We would never leave an individual without any medication if they need to go back up or stabilise. Whatever the outcome would be, we would deal with that. And again, the same for an inpatient, a rehab setting as well. If potentially they leave rehab, we'd look at continuing the maybe rehab in the community, so like the Live and Thrive programme, the abstinence-based stuff, or even look at prescribing naltrexone, an opiate blocker, or compensate for the alcohol. So there would always be a plan in place.
That's absolutely fantastic. I'll hand you back to Nina. Thank you.
The message is don't panic if it doesn't work out. There's a plan B. There can always be a plan C. Don't lose hope. There's always options and there's always support.
Definitely, my experience was I left rehab early, but because I still had 2 months funding for my inpatient rehab, they found me a place in supported accommodation, so stage 2 accommodation, which I stayed in. So there are options, and don't panic. Do you know what I mean? It's not the end of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got some questions for you about pre and post detox and rehab care. So Kelly might be able to answer this. Why is it important to prepare for your detox or rehab?
Well, it's important to prepare just to get more of an understanding of what to expect more than anything. I mean, I've worked with many people doing detoxes, and first thing they automatically think of is, I'm going to rattle. I am going to rattle, I'm going to withdraw, I'm going to feel the worst I've ever felt. And actually that is not the case. You know, the reason why it's called a detox is because it's planned. You know, each time you're being reduced on a medication, which gives your body a chance to, you know, to mend each time. So it's important because giving them the knowledge as well of medications that are going to be used in that process as well to manage any slight withdrawal symptoms that they may experience. And more, you know, the more they prep, the more they get a vision of what's going to be happening, you know, the structure of the day, medications that are going to be used, what to expect on day to day whilst in the detox unit, what to do, what not to do as well, more importantly. So we prepare people to look at all case scenarios as well, you know, not going into somebody else's rooms when you're in a detox unit, that kind of stuff, you know, because things happen. Unfortunately, we've had times where other individuals have gone into detox units, potentially not doing a detox for the right reasons. They've done it because social care have told them that they've had to go in detox or the children are going to be removed, that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, do bring, you know, illicit substances into the detox unit with them, and also alcohol. So we need to prepare them for this. A lot of people go into a detox unit think it's going to be the safest place in the world. But actually, that's not always the case, because not always everyone's there for the right reasons, you know. So we need to prepare them of what to do in that situation. You know, go and speak to a member of staff. It's not about grassing. It's about keeping yourself safe and all the rest of the individuals safe that's in that detox unit. So yeah, I do think it's so important to prepare an individual before going into a detox unit, because if we don't, then they're not going to know what to do if things go wrong or if things go right, or, you know what I mean. It's just best to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, I like to use analogies, and it's like a journey. And any journey that you go on, you need to plan it, don't you? You need to know where you're going, how you're going to get there, and what the risks or the bumps in the road might be. People have to have an insight into what their triggers are that may cause them to start feeling or thinking about drug use, what emotions or feelings they may be vulnerable to that can trigger cravings, and how do people manage cravings? What are the coping strategies when you start to think about drugs or you start to crave drugs? So yeah, we need to give people the knowledge, the insight, and the coping strategies to get through a detox. People always say, what's the most important part of detox? The preparation, the detox, or the aftercare, and they're all equally important. If you think of a three-legged stool, if you take one of them legs away, the stool's going to collapse. So you need to prepare, you need the support through the detox, and you need the aftercare. And it's important that people understand that they have a responsibility to work around their own detox. It's not just a case of taking medication and the drugs just magically disappear from your system. Bloody hard work at detox. You've got to really sort of work on yourself and ask for help when you need it.
Thank you for that, John and Kelly. So speaking about aftercare, what kind of aftercare is available from after detox?
Well, we've discussed the residential rehab options, and like I said earlier, community options should be explored first. And certainly, there's a lot more community options now than than there ever was. At one point, it was rehab or nothing, but now we have a lot of community abstinence programs with Inspire. There's a lot of recovery housing now in East Lancashire. There's Alicia House in Combe. There's Glen Valley, Waterfoot. There's other tenancies. Inspire have our own abstinence-based houses because for a lot of people, housing becomes a big issue during their sort of substance misuse. So there's a lot of what we call mutual aid support in East Lancashire. I think Kelly touched on that earlier. There's one-to-one support, there's counselling support, and there's also a lot of support that's not so much treatment or therapy based. There's a lot of sort of activity initiatives as well. CSI, I don't know if people are familiar with CSI initiatives. And Inspire also have a specific employment training and education worker, because that again, that could be somebody's aspirations after detox or after rehab. I want to give back to the community. I want to better myself. I want to re-educate myself. I want some new goals setting regarding employment. So there's a lot more than there ever was. It's a good time to get detoxed. Let me say that.
Agree. So I'm going to hand you back to Will for some more questions.
Thanks, Nina. So the next section is impact on inpatient detox rehab. And the first question is, can I keep my council rented accommodation if I go into detox or rehab?
Yes, going into detox is just like going into hospital, basically. Nothing to worry about there. And similarly for your sort of housing, if you're in local authority housing, they will honour your tenancy whilst you're in rehab. Nothing to worry about.
Thank you. Will there be an impact on my income/benefits universal credit if I attend detox rehab? I know you mentioned earlier on that benefits will go towards rehab, but will it be?
There will. Most of it will be funded through adult social care, but there will be an expectation that you contribute some to your benefits, but you will retain some of that in a weekly allowance. And other benefits, like PIP, for example, that wouldn't go towards contribution, so that would be retained if you got that benefit. But things like income support and stuff, job seekers allowance would contribute to it.
Thank you. What happens to my pets when I leave for detox rehab?
We do have, there is some private people in the community that sort of short-term adopt animals. But again, speak to your worker about it. They might have some contacts to arrange for that. So, you know, cat sitting, dog sitting, that kind of stuff. I know that there is organisations out there that will do that. And I think we've also got a residential rehab as well that you can take your dogs with you. And cats, I think, yeah. So again, it's another option.
Brilliant.
There's always options.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Hand you back to Nina.
Thanks, Will. So, John, Kelly, thank you very much for this interview. It's really informative. I've been through detox and rehab and I've still learned. So have you got, either of you, both of you, a final message for our service users? John?
Yeah, I think detox and rehab are life-changing opportunities, and it's important that all our service users know as much about detox and rehab as they can. Please have a discussion with your worker. Please ask as many questions as you can. Find out as much as you can. And Lancashire, the drug services in Lancashire are probably one of the sort of best in the country when it comes to detox offers, and I might be a bit biased when I'm saying that in rehab.
Oh, completely right. Got the best team.
Where I'm from, I was born and bred in West Cumbria, and I know they don't have much of a budget for this stuff. Inspire, we're always keen to promote detoxes, and the recovering communities in East Lancashire have really grown over the last few years, probably over the last 5 to 10 years. Really good, healthy, recovering communities in Burnley, in Colne, in Accrington, across Lancashire really. So there's a lot of support out there for people who need to make that switch from a drug using social network to a drug free social network. Please grab it and be part of that miracle.
Absolutely, I'll second that, John, definitely.
Yeah.
Kelly?
I'll third that as well. You know, the amount of people that I've worked with over the period of working with Inspire, and just, you know, I said it before in my other interview, it's just so rewarding to see somebody grow as an individual, coming through them doors, potentially as a chaotic alcohol or drug user, you know, to get them for them to stabilize, you know, and whether that's finishing off in a detox unit because the social situation or the mental or physical health you know, are not fantastic, to or even completing a detox in the community, putting that aftercare plan in place and just watching people grow. It really is the best feeling in the world, just to see that happen for somebody, you know. So any questions whatsoever regarding detox, rehab, anything, speak to your worker or give me a call. Just ring me and I'll be more than happy to support you in any questions that you want answering. But yeah, go for it. It'll be the best thing you ever do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's important to mention support for families as well, because a big change for the individual is a big change for family members as well, be that partners, parents or children. As individuals change and go through their detox journey, and as they go through their recovery journey, it's often a big change for family members to adapt to, and sometimes that can be rather confusing and difficult and lonely at times. So we do offer a lot of family support as well for family members, parents who are going through that process.
Thank you, John. Will, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you to Kelly and John for, excuse me, such an informative interview. Like I said earlier on, I did a community detox last year, and I found that fantastic, but I didn't really know anything about rehab. So I've learned so much today, and I'm sure other people will learn a lot from this. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will. Thank you, guys. That was a really, really beautiful interview. And I like to say, I've been through the process and I've learned something. So I'm sure our services will too. Thank you.
Thanks, Nina.
Bye.
Bye.